Hey gang, Mocha Boy here from Reddit Force. Welcome back, and thanks for tuning back in. So we've got a huge topic to cover today, and I have to warn you, this is going to go a little long. So if you're, in your car and you want to listen on in, that's probably the best way to do this, or just carve out a nice niche of time for this. Um, if you're looking for a 5-minute video, you're probably in the wrong place. But if you're the leader of a clan, that's looking to share some of this information with your clanmates and maybe chart a path for your own clan through the clan wars progression, then this is something that you're probably going to want to watch. But before we get into that, just a quick update on our war log. I mean, a lot of you that watched the intro video that I pushed out some time ago have been kind of following along with our quote-unquote Zack saga, and I'm happy to say that we are one more away from pushing this red loss off our war log, and then we'll be pretty much back in the green, and just pretty much trending upward, firing on all cylinders, just doing a great job across the board with a lot of the new members. A lot of the investment that we started with the clan many months ago is paying off in spades now. Now, before we get started with the rest of the video, there is one thing that I wanted to point out, or at least draw your attention to. What's come up in recent discussions is this whole issue of cheating and modding in the game. And a very unfortunate piece of news that's come out of that discussion is that Rejuvyn from Reddit Troopers, the former leader of Reddit Troopers, has decided to step down and retire from the game, partly as a protest to Supercell's lack of acknowledgement of cheating in the game. So one of the things that he's done, and this is something that's gone kind of pretty much viral with the rest of the YouTube community, is he's put together a petition to get Supercell to look into this problem and maybe take some active steps towards addressing it. Now, before you think this is definitely an issue that affects us all, and the worse this gets, the worse the game will get overall. A lot of the decisions that we've made as a clan, partly to keep us in the bracket that we're in, is because the bracket that we're in is largely clean. The players that we play, play by the book. But the higher you go in the game, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And this is something that we experienced firsthand. We're okay now for the most part, but this is not this is not a situation where if you ignore it, it'll just go away. It'll only get worse. So just take a moment, a few seconds out of your life to sign that petition, and it'd be much appreciated. Thanks. Okay, so let's get started. On that last video that I posted, which was an introduction to Reddit Force and how we run the clan, very thoughtful response came in from one of the other clan leaders. He was curious about how we manage the transition to 3-star strategies. Now, this is something that a lot of the top war clans and more established war clans did many months ago, and people were drawn to that banner, and they took a very fast route to assembling war-specific clans. They took a very, very quick approach to there by just assembling the best people, drawing and attracting the best people in the game, and then putting together these purpose-built clans. Now, not all of us followed in that vein. Some of us took a slower approach. Some of us took a more organic approach where we kept all of our players but then trained them up. And that's one of the things that Reddit Force did. My biggest concern at the time was that I had spent probably close to 10 months with a lot of the guys that are in the clan right now, and I wasn't about to kick, more than half of them for not being able to participate in clan wars at a certain level. But everybody agreed, for the most part, that that's kind of the direction that we had to go in. I mean, this is, for all intents and purposes, the game now. Farming and everything that you do and all of the decisions that you make are really just to set you up for clan wars. Now, if you decide that you want to just farm in the game, that's fine too. I mean, there are many paths to enjoyment in the game, but at least for us, every Marine needs a mission, and this was ours. And it was to develop our clan war capabilities. Now, how we got there was a little bit of a saga. We all were what most would call 2-star specialists. We could run into any base and 2-star the base, but I mean, making that jump from those 2-star strategies to 3-star strategies required both a shift in our strategic compositions along with our troop levels. So I'm going to walk you through some of the information that I put together to kind of congeal the idea of what it is that we did. Now, don't get scared by these. This is one quick presentation that I'll walk you guys quickly through. But one of the things that we will spend some time looking at is this Town Hall 9 progression chart. this was my path for the most part. You don't have to follow this path, and this represents some pretty controversial decisions that a lot of people don't agree with, but these were, at least for all intents and purposes, my reasons. So, I mean, that was good enough for me. For instance, one of those controversial things is never upgrade all your air defenses all at one time. I completely did that, and I was fine. It was 10 or 14 days of nail-biting terror, but it was fine, and I survived it. Um, when it comes to upgrades, I have a tendency, and this is something that has served me very well, to just kind of min-max my decisions. And that means uh, I upgrade everything. I focus on one thing and I upgrade that thing until it's done, and then I have a fully functional unit. This is, to me, was more logical than kind of having a half functional unit for many, many months. I'd rather have something down for 30 days and then at the end of that 30-day period have a fully functional, fully upgraded unit versus having units at 20%, 30%, 40%, over the course of 3 or 4 months. And in the case of Teslas, that can actually happen. When I was at Town Hall 8, I just upgraded all of my Teslas. I just focused on them for 1 month. I had no Teslas, but then at the end of that month I had them, and those Teslas carried me through a large portion of Town Hall 9. For defending my base. So that's one of the things that you're going to have to decide as you're upgrading your Town Hall and making the jump to Town Hall 9. So let's get started. Now, some general upgrade tips, some general upgrade guides. I'll refer to some things in some very generic terms, just so that you can get your head around what you should be focusing on at any given point in time. Now, again, for me, it's all about focus. It's all about focusing on one thing and working on only that one thing until it's done. So you focus on your economy, then you focus on your offense, and then when all of that is put in place and you have builder time and resources available, then you focus on your defense. And of course, this is specifically just for Town Hall 9. There are a lot of prerequisites that you would need to have in place before you get to Town Hall 9, and of course, this only pertains to whether you are whether or not your focus is clan wars. If it is, then then you can follow this guide. You want to max your offensive troops first. But even within your offensive troop upgrades, you want to upgrade your. In general terms, you want to do anything that it takes to allow you to acquire resources faster. And one of the fastest ways to do that is to upgrade your archers. And you'll see that in the upgrade chart. Before Archers 7 were added to the game, Archers 6 were my third or fourth upgrade, or they were a late upgrade for me, but it turned out that they were probably one of the most effective upgrades for me because when you're farming, massive amounts of resources, you're going to be stuck somewhere around the gold 1 or gold 2 range, and just those few extra hit points for archers allow them to survive mortar blasts, and that a lot of times that means the difference between them wrecking a base and coming away with nothing. As far as Archer 6 is concerned, it is the difference between them surviving a mortar blast and not, which in a lot of cases makes a huge difference in your farming. So that's one of the things. Now, once you've got your economy in place and you're ready to start thinking about offense, start thinking about your clan war compositions, you want to pick a tree. And by a tree, I mean, I break it down as Hogs, GoWiX, and LaLoon. Those are the 3 primary compositions that you build all of your custom compositions off of. So that's your base template, and you want to pick one of those to get you through the rest of the game. Now, as far as the trophy army is concerned, I mean, obviously there's some question, at least for newer members, about what is a trophy army composition. Things like Barch are not a trophy army composition. Trophy army compositions are purpose-built armies that are designed to exploit weaknesses in a base and wreck that base for as many stars as possible. So that means usually some collection of tier 1 through 3 troops in varying degrees, depending on the base that's presented to you and what your offensive capabilities are. Now, one of the other things that doesn't get talked a lot about when you're planning your armies is the stages of an attack. Now, this is kind of like Clan Wars 101. A lot of people just run into a base with mass dragons and then collect 3 stars, but they never really think about some of the more surgical steps that are involved with planning a raid. And these are those steps. And these, in a lot of cases, over the course of time, as you do this more and more, you'll be able to you'll be able to estimate how many troops it'll take to fill every one of these roles. But in general terms, you always want to account for some sort of a lure, and lures can be giants, they can be hogs, they can be barbarians, they can be loons. It all depends on the base and how accessible the clan castle is from the exterior. There's also the anchor, that once you have the CC dumped out, you have to drag them over into a corner so you can beat them up, and that's usually just an archer. But if you can't plant that archer somewhere, maybe you have to free up a corner, and you can free up that corner by bringing a couple of loons. That's one weird strategic consideration that comes up sometimes. And then there's the CC kill. I put some examples down of different ways that you can kill CCs. If you're a new Town Hall 9, typically you may only have wizards and archers and whatever, but when you start to get higher, you get into more exotic techniques for being able to kill the CC. And this is assuming it's anything but a dragon. There are things like LaLoon drops, distraction giants, distraction golems, balling up the CC with barbs using a barb walk. These are all things that will contribute to your troop count overall. After that, a big portion of ground attacks has to do with funnels, and this also has implications with air attacks. You always want to make sure that you're setting up a funnel so that you're directing your troops in the path that you want them to take. So whether that means adding wizards or adding extra balloons or even minions or archers, setting up your funnel is one of those key strategic considerations that you have to make for every raid. Then there's the kill team. Now the kill team functions in different ways. They can be, just to go in and get an AQ. They can be to go get an AQ along with one air defense, or one AQ and 2 air defenses plus a lure. There are different compositions for being able to do something with the kill team, and the kill team can function in different ways, but that's the general idea of how you work with them. After that, you have the support attack or the main attack. And by support attack, I mean if you're going in with a GoWiX raid, a heavy GoWiX raid, you can send in support hogs. But if you're going with a LaLoon raid, then maybe that's the main attack, or maybe mass hogs is the main attack. These are all considerations that come into building your troop counts. But these are the stages in general terms. I mean, it'll be different for every custom attack, but these, if you wanted to kind of wrap your head around the process for building a trophy army, these are the steps that you typically have to go through. Now, as far as compositions go, at Town Hall 8, at Town Hall 8, there are actually quite a few different compositions. Depending on the skill of your players and what troops they have available to them. Of course, there is a assumption here that you're running with max troops for your level. So if you're Town Hall 8, Giants 5, Wizards 5, that kind of thing, and Hogs 4. But mass Hogs is absolutely viable at Town Hall 8 if the base doesn't have double giant bombs and you have like Hogs 4. Mass Dragons is a pretty popular one. Dragons and Balloons, again, another very popular composition. But lately, folks have been experimenting with HoloWiWi and GoWiP and some of the more exotic compositions that are available at Town Hall 9. You're constrained by your camp space, but these are compositions that are available pretty much across the board, provided you have the troops to be able to run those compositions and the troop space. So yeah, I mean that's pretty straightforward. But when you get to Town Hall 9, that's where the game really opens up. I mean, you have an endless number of permutations for trophy army compositions, and they're all driven by the base that you select and whether or not you correctly assess that base and chose the correct trophy army that can exploit any particular weakness within a base. GoWiWi and GoWiP are the two base 2-star compositions, but simply adding any sort of defense-led troops to them, in the form of back-end loons or back-end hogs, pretty much anything, can instantly turn those into 3-star strategies. But again, it's based on the defensive makeup of the base. Dragloon is also another still very effective composition. It's not as reliable as some of the other ones, only because dragons are dumb, and with the addition of skeletons into the game, I mean they completely screw with the dragon AI, and it's something that we used to do and we don't really do anymore because it's just so unreliable. But it's an option for you. HoloWiWi, this is a pretty popular one, and if you followed kind of the progression of the game, when hogs were when giant bombs were buffed and hogs kind of fell out of favor, everything moved over to dragon resistant bases, so big spread out bases, and that's where Holowiwi came up. It was it was a specific type of attack. Put together to exploit these spread out bases, and they were a lot of fun. I mean, we spent many months studying those attacks and how to execute them. As Holowiwi started to get more popular, uh, there was this shift back to all of the standard strategies, and learning how to put together these hybrid strategies of, mixing in hogs with GoWiWi, or mixing in loons with GoWipe, or, mixing pretty much anything with any of the other base compositions. And then, we started to get into kind of this phase of not new attacks, but so what started to happen right around that Holo time was that we started to hit this renaissance of trophy army attacks. People were coming up with these just crazy derivatives of and compositions of different attacks designed to do different things. And if you think about, a couple slides back when I was talking about the stages of an attack, the kill team was a central portion of pretty much every attack. They were designed to do different things, but typically speaking, the role of a kill team was to go in and take out an AQ, take out an AD, possibly even lure out the clan castle, and/or even dispatch them. And terminology kind of sprung up around these different variants of those base attacks and these kill team attacks. So, for Holowiwi, if it was 1 to 10, that was a needle holo. 1 to 10 loons. If it was 10 to 20 loons, that was a swarm holo. For kill teams, if you sent in 1 golem, it was a cold-blooded, whatever. Or if you sent in 2 golems, it was a shattered whatever. These were all just fun names that were given to these base compositions, but they were always used to help explain what the compositions were, and help people find what these compositions were when they were looking for the videos. Now, as far moving on with the compositions, you have GoHoWiWi Light and GoHoWiWi Heavy. It's just more hogs, less witches, more hogs, that kind of thing. But then, right around the time that lava hounds were introduced, at the time everyone knew they were pretty powerful, but we didn't realize how powerful they were until we started to see them. Until we started to see more people come into them, and strategies evolve around those new troops. But they are, make no mistake, they are extremely powerful, and a lot of bases that, if they're not set up to defend against LaLoon, can absolutely just get rolled by them with little more than just by little more than just spamming the troops. It is that powerful of an attack. And the many derivatives of those LaLoon attacks. So you have 2 hounds, 3 hounds, 4 hounds, even 5 hounds, and then different combinations of those lava hound attacks using golems, 1 golem, 2 golem, AQ, BK, so shattered LaLoon, cold-blooded LaLoon, all of the different derivatives of that attack using different components of those strategies to put together an attack. And then, of course, there's just the weird attacks, mixing in P.E.K.K.A.s with your Holowiwi, or even just Valkyrie attacks. Now, I do have Valkyries 4. I use them. I'm not that crazy about them. There are great derivatives of Valkyrie attacks that use things like Valkyries and Hogs, but it's just one of those things that I have so many compositions to work with that it's just one of those things that I never really spent a lot of time with. Now, as far as upgrading your troops, you really have one of 3 decisions. What I like to call these prerequisites. So when you come into Town Hall 9, the very first 2 upgrades you have to do, or at least the very first 3 upgrades you have to do. You can do these in any order, but the order that makes the most sense is to do your loons first, your hogs next, and then your archers next. Now, before Archers 7 were introduced, that made sense, but now with Archers 6 available for only 6 million elixir, and this is assuming that you've maxed out your storage capacity, you actually want to do your Archers 6 first. And the reason you do this is because if you're one of those players that just can play all the time, having access to Archers 6 along with 220 camp space will speed up, will just about double your resource collection time. your resource collection ability. I mean, they make that much of a difference. On paper, they don't make that much of a difference, but in practice, you'll see for yourself that if you're hovering kind of around the gold 1 range, you're just going to be able to pull in resources at an absolutely insane rate. So they're a good investment early on. Um, After that, it is all about the offensive troops. So, as far as your upgrade progression, you're looking at 14 days for Hogs 5, 10 days for Loon 6. That's a total of 24 lab days, not including the build time it takes to get the lab up to that point, along with 50k DE and then 6 million elixir. Now, after that, you have a choice. You can move up the GoWiX Tree, or you can go through the LaLoon Tree. And really what it comes down to is these numbers here. Too long didn't math. Comes down to 17 builder days and 24 lab days for LaLoon, assuming that you maxed out your buildings up before coming in to Town Hall 9. And then for GoWiX, you're looking at 60 lab days to get to full strength before you can actually use that composition. And that's, of course, in addition to the 24 lab days that it takes for you to work on your prerequisites. So in actuality, you're looking at potentially 84 lab days, 3 months, or with LaLoon, 3 weeks before you get access to 3-star strategies. This is kind of the way that it's broken down. So I'm not going to say that LaLoon is the be-all, end-all. I love GoWiX and I love Hogs. But unless you have that kind of time to collect both 335,000 dark elixir along with some ancillary costs to handle the unlocks, along with 60 days, 15 builder days and then 60 lab days to get those to get those researches unlocked. This is really what you're facing. So for me, the fastest path to 3-star strategies, if you wanted to go the air route, is to just simply jump down the air tree really quickly, and within 24 days, 24 lab days, you'll have that army, and then that'll hold you over long enough to be able to work on your GoWiX tree. Or, if you were one of those crazy Town Hall 8s that actually maxed golems before you moved on to Town Hall 9, then maybe this makes more sense in that you go through the GoWiX tree. I feel like it's great to have diversity within your attack composition, so that's always a good thing to do. Now, that's your path. Work on your prerequisites, then pick GoWiX or pick LaLoon, but focus all of your resources and your energy into developing out those offensive strategies as quickly as possible, and then find a clan war clan. Find a clan whose focus is clan wars, so that you can work on these attacks. Now, as far as transitioning your clan, again, Force took an organic approach to this. We added people where we could, but for the most part, we kept the people that we had, and we trained them up on those strategies. Now, we did things like practice wars, and a practice war is nothing more than just a throwaway war. Like for the first practice war, I stuffed nothing but healers in the clan castle. This was just to drive the point home that it doesn't matter what happens, I want everybody working on experimental attacks. And, this is pretty much the only way to put people in a live environment to get them trained up on these attacks. And again, it was a throwaway war, so I told everybody, don't worry about the score, just go and practice. Just go and pick a strategy and work on it. Work on your lures, work on your funnels, work on your kill team deployments, and your main attack releases. So these were things that everybody had to do. Now, as a clan leader, you have to pick your bracket. Now, this is an important thing. If you're the clan leader of like a primarily Town Hall 10 clan, then I'm sorry, you're probably in an extremely competitive bracket, and you're probably surrounded by sandboxers, which is an extremely frustrating place to be in right now. Where I feel, and this is my opinion, where I feel kind of the safe zone is within the game is still within the high Town Hall 9, mid to high Town Hall 9 bracket. That means within your clan, anywhere from 6 to 8 Town Hall 10s. The majority of your forces are going to be Town Hall 9s, so 30 plus Town Hall 9s, and then some Town Hall 8s. Now, this is not gaming the system. This is me making an informed decision about where I want our clan to be right now. We've been in that space where we were fighting against 15 Town Hall 10s versus our 4, and it sucks. But where we are right now, we're very comfortable in, and we're doing a great job and giving people the space to learn in a safe environment. And by safe environment, I mean where we're not going up against sandboxers every other war. So I mean, again, that's just my opinion. I feel like that mid to high Town Hall 9 bracket is probably the best place to be right now if you're kind of new into the game or kind of just getting started. Now, as far as your troops are concerned, as far as your players are concerned, you have to get your Town Hall 10 players up to the point where they can donate things like max wizards, max P.E.K.K.A.s, and max golems. Those are the three primary donations that they're going to be working on. Your Town Hall 9 folks are going to be responsible for witches. So that means getting them up to witches 2 as quickly as possible. Your Town Hall 10s will be your primary donators, but they will be your primary bulwarks also against stars. So they've got to be able to deliver stars on opposing Town Hall 10s all the way on up to max Town Hall 10s. And this is kind of the problem with people who move to Town Hall 10. When you move to Town Hall 10, you don't get to pick on Town Hall 9 bases. You get to pick on Town Hall 10 bases that are many levels above you. I mean, that becomes your world. And I think the mistake that the mistake that Town Hall 9 players make is that they're not comfortable with their own attack strategies. They can barely 2-star Town Hall 9s, and then they want to move to Town Hall 10 thinking it'll be easier. It's absolutely not the case. So I have chosen to stay at Town Hall 9 for as long as humanly possible, and I have plenty to do while I'm here. My base is maxed out, but I'm working on walls and heroes, and that'll keep me busy for the next few months while I just go and wreck bases. I mean, if you decide to pick this bracket, then really it's all about Town Hall 9s dominating other Town Hall 9s with 3-star strategies. So that's something to consider. Now, as you're going through all of this, you have to encourage people to fail. You have to encourage people to fail, but learn from those mistakes. And using that template that I showed you before about the stages of an attack, this is how you go and diagnose the attacks. You say your lure was off, your kill team was off, your funnel was off. You deployed against the wrong defenses, whatever. That's how you as a leader help to diagnose your attackers and help them improve. Now, as far as the rest of the skills, base assessment. This is base identification, being able to notice when things like air defenses are accessible from the exterior, or how to find double giant bombs, how to understand how the placement of specific defenses affects pathing. These are all things that you will just get. These are all skills that you will acquire over time. It takes time and practice and just exposure to a lot of different bases, but that's something that you have to work on. Now, as far as transitioning the clan, I mean, really, it's get your Town Hall 10s set up, get your Town Hall 9s working on these strategies, get your Town Hall 8s, doing what they do. But as far as upgrades are concerned, it's okay for Town Hall 8s to stay where they are and max out their troops and their bases, because a lot of their defenses are going to carry them through, quite literally, 80% of Town Hall 9 before they can actually start to work on those upgrades. Now, as far as the upgrade path is concerned, I mean, part of the reason why I never did a spreadsheet like this was because it's so depressing to look at the time and the amount of resources that it takes to actually max out a Town Hall 9. And I purposely stayed away from this, but I mean, obviously, just as a teaching aid, I want to make sure that people understand exactly what they're getting into, and maybe talk a little bit about the order that I do things. I've split them up into offense, defense, and economy. As far as the economy is concerned, I lump archers and then your dark elixir drills. These are things that you want to do as early as possible, because the longer you have a dark elixir drill running at max, the more valuable it becomes. So this is definitely something that you don't want to put off for too long. As soon as builders become available, focus on these and then just get them to 6 as quickly as possible. And yes, it is worth it having them there. A couple of the other upgrades that you're going to have to do: gold storage. You're going to have to max out that 4th gold storage, because you will need, at some point, I think 7 million gold to handle your expos later. But that's something that can be handled a little bit later on, but it's something that you have to do pretty quickly. Now, DE storage, this is one of the things that I did early, and the reason that I did this early was because a dark elixir storage level 6 will protect your dark elixir from lightnings, and more so than a 4 or 5. There's good information on there why that's the case, but that's something that you're going to want to take a look at. Now, assuming you have your economy in place as a new Town Hall 9, you want to work on getting these things in place as quickly as possible. So your spell factory lab, your clan castle. Again, if your focus is clan wars, literally the third upgrade that you have to make going into Town Hall 9 is going to be your clan castle. That extra 5 space gets you access to golems as a high level donation, or even lava hounds as a high level donation. I can't stress enough how important it is to have that clan castle done, and it's something that we encourage all of our members to do very early on, so that we can donate high level troops to them. After that, getting your AQ unlocked, and then get her as quickly to 5 as possible. There will be time to work on her later, but a great pause point is AQ 5, and anyone can do it within the span of this many days. So 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 days you'll have AQ 5. It's a very good investment to have early on, and then you can pause and work on other stuff, and then work on getting her to 10, and then to 15, and then to 20, or whatever. After that, we start to work on offense. And you heard me mention this earlier, but get your archers to 6 as quickly as possible. They will increase your ability to acquire resources over the course of time, like literally double your ability to do that. And then hopefully by then you will be working on your army camps in parallel to your researches. So these are getting to 20 camp space, getting that 4th spell, getting the AQ up to 5. These are all things that are going to increase your ability to acquire resources. So that's an important thing to remember. Then after that, pretty much it's the sky's the limit. If you want to go, your first clan war upgrade should always be loons. Loons are such a central part of every strategy that we have. At the bracket that we play in, and even at Town Hall 10. So I mean, these are you do this investment early, you will reap the benefits for this for a long time. After that, Hogs 5, because they're just so damn versatile. And then after that, you can work on your electives, and you can pick the Hound tree, you can pick the Golem tree. Absolutely work on witches before your golems, because for the span of 10 days and 75k, you'll have access to witches too. And my feeling is that you want to be able to make your own witches. We can always donate you golems. So that's why golems were deprioritized towards the end. It's always great to have them, at 4 if possible, because that gives you strategic options to go and just wreck bases. But we can hold you over via donations if you don't have them done until the end. After that, it's up to you as to whether or not you want to do your P.E.K.K.A.s, your dragons, barbarians, whatever you want to do. I mean, giants are a really valuable thing for clan wars, so I would probably move them up a little higher. There's really no good time to work on your spells until you get a lot of those prerequisites in place. So I would suggest that you max out researches for your spells going into Town Hall 9. They will carry you for a really long time. The differences are minimal, and yes, they'll make some difference in some cases, but for the most part, you can be carried by your Town Hall 8 spells. Now after that, once you get your economy in place and you've got your offense in place, then you can start working on your defense. I have a simple rule when it comes to clan wars, is that if you want to keep your clan at the difficulty level that they're currently at, work on nothing but your air defenses, your Teslas, your wizard towers, your walls, and your heroes, and then that's it. Once you get those prerequisites in place, and there's a very good reason why those prerequisites are in place, then you can work on your electives. Now, notice here, I did expos as a first upgrade in a Town Hall 9. I did it because they're stupidly long and stupidly expensive, and I just wanted them out of the way. Apart from the fact that they are an amazing visual deterrent for farmers, they're also incredible hit point bulwarks in your base. They have thousands of hit points, probably close to what air defenses have, and they're more valuable in not so much in the damage that they do, but the damage that they can take. So typically I'd like to put Teslas behind Expos, and then you have a pretty powerful combo for being able to defend a section of a base. So I did those first. And then after that, get that next air defense going, and then don't stop until it's at 7. I know this is painful, but this is one of those early investments that if you can do this quickly, we're talking about a month's worth of upgrades for your air defenses, you will completely shut down a few types of attacks against your bases. Dragons will absolutely, you will shut down dragons as an attack on your base, and you'll even shut down some LaLoon attacks, depending on the base design that you choose. Air defenses are that important that you have to work on them first. Plus, they give you time. Because they're so long, they give you time to work on other things. So which is actually a very good thing. Now, assuming you've maxed out your Teslas before you came in, again, get that fourth Tesla going, and don't stop until it's level 7. When it's level 7, start working on your other Tesla level 6s and get them up to speed. And again, I did all 4 of mine at one time. There was a month that I didn't have Teslas, but after that month was done, I had fully functional Teslas for the rest of the time. After that, you can work on your wizard towers, so getting that 4th wizard tower up to 7, and then the remaining level 6s also up to 7. Once you have your air defenses, your Teslas, your wizard towers in place, you can defend against dragons. You can defend against LaLoon for the most part. But most importantly, what you'll do is visually, you'll force a ground attack. Now, if you can get your base to the point where you're forcing your attackers to choose ground attacks against you, you're in great shape to be able to defend your base. And that's where the walls and the heroes start to come in. Now, point defenses are really overrated in this game, and a lot of times when you're upgrading your point defenses, you're actually making the game harder for you as well as everyone in the clan. So it's okay to go in with lower level point defenses, but have all of these other prerequisites maxed out so that you can defend against the most common types of attacks. You're not going to be able to defend against everything, but really, we're talking about optimizing your bases and your base compositions for what the metagame is right now, and that's where we're at. I mean, after that, if you can try to fit in some traps, some trap upgrades, these are very fast upgrades that you can do very early on, and then just have for the rest of the game. So I waited until the end to work on these, but maybe I should have done these a little bit sooner. They're just phenomenal to have. Big bombs will wipe out hogs. Smart bombs will take out loons. Seeking air mines will take out lava hounds if you put them in the right spot. So, they're great things to have early on, even ahead of your point defenses. So it's something to consider there. So that's where we're at. One last thing that I want to point out is when you're going through and you're building your compositions, Clashing Tools is a tool that I use to help me kind of work out my compositions and see what'll fit within 220 space. This is a great tool for you to use as you're composing your armies. But yeah, so that's about it. I mean, again, this was a really long conversation, but Gilead, I hope that answers your question, and I hope it answers a lot of other people's questions. Again, it's there was a lot of information to cover here. If you want me to go over anything in a little bit more detail, just drop it in the comments and let me know. I will make these documents available so that you can share these out with your clans. And I mean, again, this is our path. It's worked well for us. You don't have to use this path. You can, use some of the ideas and then tweak it so that it works for your clan. So many millions of players, this isn't going to work for everybody. But generally speaking, for where the game is today and what our assessment is of what the threats are coming in from other clans, this is the path that we've chosen, to set us up for success in clan wars. And you can see that at least for the last 10 wars, it's been working extremely well for us. So again, yep, I hope you thought that was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, just drop them in the box below. And thank you for tuning in.